Hey everybody, it's Josie. Welcome back to Cedar Creek Homestead. Well, it's a beautiful morning. There's a breeze blowing and it is cool. The heat and humidity hasn't hit, and for the next several days it's going to be in the 80s, which sounds hot, but not compared to what it has been. We're getting a little bit of a respite here, and we have rain in the forecast. It rained overnight last night, and it's cool this morning. It's wet. Pardon me. And so it's nice and cool and calm this morning. I can, hear the birds singing, and I just thought it would be beautiful to kind of sit out here in this area and talk a little bit. I was going to go sit on the swing, but it's wet, so I brought a chair around here, and I thought we'd just have a little chat. We have been having to get out early in the mornings and late in the evening and do our farm chores that are outside chores, because it's just been so miserable. The humidity is just really working its hatefulness on us is all I can think of. But today it feels better. Now I want to say thank you to all those ones that are out and about all day long that have to work out in it. And I get to go in during the day unless something major happens. I get to go in and take a rest from all the heat and humidity. But I know that people are having to work out in it all day. How I used to have to work out in it. And, farmers are out working in their hay fields, and, the guys are working on the roads, and, all kinds of different jobs where people are out in it. So make sure you're drinking plenty of water and take some rest breaks. Your body will tell you, that you're getting too hot. When Blade was a little, well, I say a little boy, he was playing football. He was probably in his early high school years, freshman, I think, or sophomore. This particular instance, he was at football practice. And it was hot. It was probably, I'd say, August, the beginning of the school year, when they were practicing. And this particular day, Howie went to pick him up, and so he had to have been in 9th or 10th grade, because he wasn't old enough to drive yet. So Howie went to pick him up. Well, when he did, Blade got in the vehicle. He was so hot and he was so sick that he just started to cry, and which was not normal for Blade. Well, what had happened was the football coach had them running, trying to condition them, and they ran, and when they got done at this particular time, the coach said, "I want you to run one more time the length of the football field, and I want you to give it everything that you've got, and when you get to the end, football practice will be over. You won't have to run anymore." So Blade gave it all he had, and he ran his little legs off. And he gets to the end. When all the team gets to the end, the coach makes him run again. And Blade had just gave everything he had. And so, but this time, when he got to the end, he was so tired and so hot and so exhausted that he was sick. And he can't really, to this day, he's 22 now, he really cannot take extreme heat for a long period of time. It makes him sick. And so y'all be careful out there. Drink plenty of water. I know you'd rather have a glass of sweet tea. I know that. Most of you would. But that's really not what we need. We really need the ice water. And I'm not telling you anything that I don't do myself. I try my best to drink lots and lots and lots of water. So I went to the cattle sale this weekend and sold my bull. It was time for him to go on to another farm. Nothing wrong with him whatsoever. Healthy, strong, good bull. Gave me good calves. I've got a whole pasture full of good calves to sell this fall. But we've chosen to keep some of his heifers. And so it's time for him to go and be a good bull at somebody else's farm. But I didn't leave empty-handed. I took him up. Papa Tex and Granny Terry went with me, And actually, I went with them. We took their truck. And we took the livestock trailer. And so when we come home, I had got 2 bred boar goats. Those are meat goats. And a young goat, female doe. And then I also brought home a bottle calf, a little steer bottle calf. The calf, did I need him? No, but he needed me. So I brought him home, and he's got some issues. We believe that he got kicked in the mouth, either at the farm that he was at or there at the sale barn. And his jaw's not broken, nothing through here is broken, but his teeth, his little teeth right through here, are loose, really loose. Not loose enough to pull them, but they're loose. And under his tongue is bruised. So when I give him his bottle, it's not a quick bottle like what it was with my little dairy heifers. They just drink them right down. But I have to work with him. And and because of that, I have to feed him several more times a day than the little dairy heifers. I was just having to feed them morning and night. This little guy's having to be fed quite a few more times because he's just taken he's taken less than a pint at a time. He is eating grass. We've been surprised by that he's eating grass. And he eats a little bit of sweet feed. And I don't know how he's doing it with his little teeth, but he's doing it. He's managing to do that. And he's doing pretty good. I have to put the bottle over to the side and let him kind of do it that way. And he takes a lot of breaks. He gets his milk. And you have to let him, pull away from the bottle. And he drinks his milk, and then you have to give him some more. He's not to the place yet where he's coming to me and wanting his bottle. Most of the time your little bottle babies will run right to you. He's not doing that yet, but he's warming up, and so hopefully he's gonna be all right. But he needed me, so I brought him home. The goats, did I need the goats? Not necessarily, but I had goats in Arkansas, and I had so much fun with them. Do I have a lot of time? I guess time is all I have. But I really got the goats to help us out. And that's what I want to talk about today, is being resourceful. And I wrote down a definition. I'm a Sunday school teacher. I teach the adult Sunday school class. I've always taught little kids, teenage kids, little bitty kids, and so vocabulary words were important. Well, they're still important to the adults too, and so I want them in Sunday school class to understand the words that we come up against in the Bible, and I'm that way here. I want us to understand. So when we say resourceful, we're like, well, we know what resourceful means, and we do, but let's get the definition of resourcefulness, and then let's talk about it. Definition, according to the dictionary, is a quick, clever way to overcome difficulties. Okay, so let's talk about being resourceful. Now those goats, of course my son would say, that's just your excuse, Mom, to get the goats. He might be right. But the goats are going to be used for a purpose. I'm not going to barbecue them. I'm not going to, well, I guess if times got bad and I didn't have all these other things, I might eat the goats. But anyway, the goats are going to be used as lawnmowers. Not for my yard, because they don't, they're not selective. They would eat my flowers or my trees. So they're going to be over here in the barnyard, which is that away. And they're going to take care of a lot of the areas that get weedy, and we don't like having weeds. We like to be able to see where we're at, where we're sticking our hands, where we're putting our feet. We want to know that we're safe and our animals are safe. And so Um, you know, Howie always kept things mowed and looking so nice, and kept things weed eated, and he sprayed problem areas, and you know, with all the sheer volume of work that we have, we just can't keep up with it all. I'll just be honest with you. And so the goats are going to help us take care of a big area that we won't have to worry about. Now, I don't know, you know, if they'll be able to take care of all of it, but they eat a lot, and they'll eat the weeds really and truly before they'll eat the grass. And so the grass, we can get the grass mowed. If they can take care of the weeds, we can get the grass. So that's his second purpose for those goats, being resourceful, making them into something that that we can use here. So went on from the taking care of the chores to running the pasture and checking cows. And of course that involves, you know, we have all these pastures are cross fence. Now be quiet, guys. These pastures are cross fenced, and so there's gates, you know, every pasture there's gates, and so you have to get out, open the gates. Whoever's put in charge of it, it's usually the person that's in the front seat, but that's not always the case. But anyway, I noticed one of the gates that we were going through yesterday, and I don't know if Howie did it or Papa Tex did it, but that gate in the corner of it had a big hook in the corner of the gate. Now, and what it looked like a hook from the end of a logging chain, and it had been welded in there, set in there and welded. And what they do is they take a chain and it goes around the fence post there and around the gate, and it sets in that chain rest in that little hook. And so I saw that, and I saw some other things on the farm, and all of the things that we've been pulling out of the scrap items and things that we have here got me to thinking about how important it is to be resourceful, how important it is to use the things that you have. Now, I know we've talked about those things before, you know, use it up and all that kind of stuff. I know we've talked about that before. But I still believe that we need to keep learning the lessons of being resourceful. Now, here on this farm, on Cedar Creek, and I'm sure if you have a farm, and even if you don't have a farm, but you have a little homestead or you have a place, I'm sure that you have an area on your place that collects things that are not being used right now, but I may use that one day. And we have that, we call it junk row. It's back behind Granny and Grandpa's house along the fence line, and it strings for a pretty good ways out through there. And there's all kinds of mostly metal items, wood items we try to keep up, and you guys know lumber prices and all, you know, we try to take care of our lumber and keep it put up. I do have some that that still needs to be put away and stored properly. But anyway, down through there, we went down there yesterday. Papa was looking for some metal pieces to do some welding on the gates at the cemetery. We found these big iron gates and that are going to be put up there, welded up there, and he needed another piece of some kind. But anyway, we went down there, me and him and Granny went down there, and we were looking at all this stuff, and of course he can tell you what it is, what it was used for, who he got it from, and all that kind of stuff. And I got tickled about that because, you know, we're pretty good at it as girls. You know, our husbands or our kids will go to the pantry or go to the refrigerator looking for something. And I don't know how many times Howie would go and stand in front of the refrigerator with the door open, and I'd say, "What are you looking for?" And he'd say, you know, whatever it was. And I'd say, "It's right there. I don't see it." And I'd have to go in there and get it for him. But I could tell him, I could say, it's on the 3rd shelf behind the ketchup. We know where the things are that we take care of on a daily basis. And I thought it was cute that he knew just exactly what those things were. And it's important to have a resourceful mind. It's important to be creative and to be imaginative this day and age. It has always been. But you know as well as I do, the way things are today, that it's not always easy. It's not always feasible because you don't always have money to go and buy all of these things to finish a project. And if you have resources, if you've gotten yourself to a place that you have become a problem solver. A person that's resourceful is a problem solver. A person that's resourceful is usually a very creative and imaginative person. Somebody that can see this item being used for these things. Kind of like the goats being used for lawnmowers. I'm not mechanically minded, so when I see that metal, that's what I see. I see metal. But wherever you are in your life, wherever whatever you do, I can see things in the kitchen. I can see, like I'm working with onions right now. I've got them on the dehydrator, and I can see that I can make onion salt and onion powder and minced onion and onions to top your casseroles, and those kind of things. That's where my mind goes, and that's where I'm resourceful that way. We need to be working on being resourceful in our day-to-day lives. You can save a lot of money if you can find new ways to use old things. And in the kitchen we use butter bowls. I grew up using butter bowls and whipped topping bowls and whatever else. If the bowl had a lid and it fit good, we saved it. We used it. We didn't have a lot of Ziploc bags, and we didn't have all these things, and there wasn't an excuse to not keep the leftovers. You were going to find something to put those leftovers in, and so butter bowls became an important thing to keep. What has made resourceful people? Well, I think necessity makes resourceful people. And I think that you guys would agree with me that we're to a point in this country, and I'm not bad-mouthing our country. I love our country. But I'm talking about events, and I'm thinking about the day-to-day things. You hear it on the news, how money's tight for a lot of people. Gas prices, lumber prices, food costs, all kinds of things. You can look all around you and you can see that things are tight for a lot of people. And I know that they say on the news that the numbers don't show that, and they give you all kinds of excuses, but those of us that live day to day surrounded by everyday people know that people are struggling. That people are making decisions about what they can buy, what they have to leave on the shelf. It's one thing for those powers that be to say, oh, things are looking good. It's another to live it day to day. And we know the paycheck is not stretching as far. We know that we're not able to purchase as many things. And so the time to be resourceful is here. Okay, so now we want to figure out, am I a resourceful person? And if the answer is no, then the next question should be, well, how do I become a resourceful person? How do I recognize a resourceful person? Well, I gave you some examples of that, but I would tell you that a lot of your elders are resourceful people. People that have been through some stuff a lot of times are resourceful people. People that have been without have learned to be resourceful. Now, I'm not talking about resourceful as, I don't have it, so I'm going to go take it from somebody else. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about people that saw that there was a struggle, and they realized that they didn't want to go through that struggle again. Learn from those people. You know, most people that are resourceful will teach you if you'll just pay attention to them. So, let's learn how to recognize a resourceful person. A resourceful person finds value in the things that others have tossed out. Now, I'm not talking about hoarding. Hoarding's, in my eyes, hoarding is a different thing. Blade says that me and his dad were hoarders, but what it really was is that we saw value in things that it had another use to it, or it could be used again. And we are so quick in this nation to just toss things out. When it's been used for a purpose, we just get rid of it. Throw it in the trash, throw it in the landfill. There's plenty of room to throw things away. But that's really not a good thing. There are so many projects that you can do with things that's going to be thrown out. So number one, look for somebody that sees the value in things that others throw out. And also, they see the value in it and they do something with it. Now, if it just piles up for years and years and years and years and they never do anything with it, well, I would say, well, maybe they are a little bit more of a hoarder than being a resourceful person. A resourceful person is willing to try an idea. Now, for the last couple of days, we've had to run a lot of errands here, and just driving around with Papa Tex and Granny when we've had to go to Tahlequah, we've had to go to different places. Well, just driving around with them, I know that Pops has been thinking about a certain idea he's got on these gates, and he keeps thinking it over in his mind, and he's pulled out this some kind of metal, and he's going to try this idea. And I think it is so neat to watch somebody that works that over in their mind. They get this idea. Howie was that way too, and he gets it from his dad. They're problem solve. They work it out, and they don't just leave it in here or leave it on paper. They actually follow through with it. So a resourceful person will see the value in things, and they'll follow through, and they'll do something with it. Okay? They're always willing to try an idea. They look for a solution to a problem. You know, if you just sit down and wring your hands and say, I don't have anything to give, I don't know what I'm going to do, you're not going to go anywhere. The problem is not going to be solved. You know, I think about this, and it wasn't really a problem, but it was a necessity. When we were little kids, you know, we didn't have much, but we had enough. I should say that we had enough, but there wasn't money to go buy store-bought Halloween costumes. So my mama would begin thinking about how she could come up with Halloween costumes for all of her kids. And there were several times throughout the years that we would win a costume contest because of her creativity. She had a problem and she solved it. She came up with pulling stuff from here and there and everywhere and making the cutest little costumes. So she looked for a solution and she found it. Another thing that she did was she went to yard sales and she clothed us. And shoes, we usually had coats, you know, whatever season it was, you could find coats that would fit us, and it didn't hurt us a bit. We stayed warm, or we stayed cool in the summertime. We had clothes on. We were able to function and go to school because she looked for a solution to make her budget stretch a little bit further. The next thing for a resourceful person and how to recognize them is resourceful people don't sit and wait for the perfect situation or the perfect pieces to be able to take care of this problem that they have, or this thing that needs to get done. They will get to it, and they will get it repaired, or they will get it, they'll put some little tweak on it and get it to work the right way. They won't just wait. We have a lot of projects that need to be done, Some of our stuff have had to go on the shelf because of the lumber prices. But that doesn't mean that we can't get some of our things done by thinking of a different way to do it. And that's how you have to do. You have to say, okay, well, this needs done. These are the supplies that we need, but we don't have access to them. So how can I get the same thing done a different way? Now, we do have things that had to be done. We had to address those things. And so we have a temporary fix on some of our fences. It's not the permanent fix. We'll go back and we'll fix them the right way later. But for now, can you say they're the most beautiful? No, I'm not going to say that. You can tell that we've used pieces here and there and everywhere to get something fixed for now. But that's part of being a problem solver. You get it taken care of. That's part of being resourceful. A resourceful person is persistent. They keep moving on. They see the problem. They don't just leave it and leave a big gaping hole there. They go ahead and fix it, just like I talked about the gates just now. They take care of the issue. They may have to come back later and fix it the proper way. But for now, we've got this issue taken care of, and we'll go on to the next issue. That happens in, big corporations. That happens everywhere. I know that when I worked for Walmart, when they would set goals for their budgets. And I know a lot of people get aggravated at Walmart and other big box stores, but I'm going to tell you that I worked there, and I had a good experience working there. But anyway, I worked in the home office, and they would have a budget. And any time that they didn't meet their goals, they would tighten their belt, and they would get a note out to everyone that we saved our paper clips, we saved our little alligator clips, we saved rubber bands. And that's from mail that was coming in. Like our vendors would send in big stacks of statements and different invoices that you'd go through. I mean, big stacks. And they would be clipped, paper clipped, and they would be alligator clipped and rubber banded in little sections. And all of those things we were to keep. We did not throw away rubber bands. We didn't throw any of that stuff away. They would make us tighten our belts as far as our office supplies. And all of that sounds crazy, because people are thinking Walmart had to do that. They had to tighten down. They've got all this money. But you consider how many people work for Walmart and how many supplies. That could be a big part of your money expenditure. And so I've thought about that since then, and I've tried to put that into play here at my place. I saved the rubber bands, I saved the paper clips, I saved the things, the bread ties, the things that can be used. The bags we get from the grocery store and Walmart, the plastic ones, I keep those, and I've got a way that I fold them and roll them into a little roll that they don't take up that much space. And so then I've got those bags that can be used if I want to give some produce to somebody or whatever you got a reason to use a bag for. So, the opportunity for us to use things a different way and to be resourceful is there. Now I'm going to take you guys on a few little interviews with Papa Tex, in the next few weeks, hopefully, and show you some of the stuff that is at Junk Row, and let him tell you what some of that stuff is. He can tell it, and he can tell it better than I can. And I think you'll get a kick out of seeing some of the stuff that he's got down there. I know one thing he has down there is the top of his satellite dish, and I guarantee you one of these days he'll figure out something to do with that. And everybody will be saying, oh, I need to find one of those. Anyway, the last thing I wanted to talk about with being resourceful is resourceful people are hopeful. They have hope that there's a solution to the problem. And that's how we need to be. We need to be hopeful that there's a solution to the problem. And is there a solution? Think about the challenges that you have in your life, and is there a solution for it? And I would say, yes, there's a solution. There is always a solution if you look for it. You know, sometimes it's having these things that we've talked about today, these little bits and pieces of things that you can make something out of. Sometimes it's being resourceful and trying to figure out how to feed and clothe your family, like what my mama did. Sometimes it's trying to figure out how to take care of a problem that's in your family. And that's not always easy, but we can remain hopeful. And in this nation, and we see the challenges that we have with prices and all these things, we can be hopeful. You know, times are getting tighter and tighter and tighter and tighter. And one of the solutions is to stock your shelves. Stock your shelves. Have plenty of water. Have plenty of food. I think that there are things that are coming that we maybe don't really see. But if you've got those things, if you have your family's needs taken care of for the foreseeable future, then your resources and your time can be used in different ways. And always have that hope. One last thing, guys. Our greatest hope is in the Lord. If you know the Lord as your Lord and Savior, then we know that He is the solution to the problem. And in the end, everything is going to be all right. So let's try our best to be resourceful. Let's try our best to find an answer to the things that present themselves on a daily basis. Maybe you won't go get goats to use as a lawnmower, but who knows what else you might find. I love you guys. This is Josie, and hoping you have a good and cooler day. Until next time, we're gone.